You are listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. I'm Samantha Brown, a professional organizer and business coach. In this podcast, you will learn how to start and scale the organizing business of your dreams. So let's jump in. Welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. I have Layton Greer with me here today. She is from Richmond, Virginia. Her business is Simply Put RVA. Layton is a founding member in our Pro Organizers Coach community. And what we thought we would do today is just kind of hop on and talk about how things have been going for her and her business. She has now been organizing since last summer. Just to give you a little bit of backstory on Layton, last summer we started coaching around her starting her organizing business. And I'll let her kind of go into talking about like what her goals were when she first started and what she does for a living still. The point being is that no matter what it is that you're doing, either part-time or full-time, as you start your professional organizing business, you really can succeed. Thank you, Layton, for being on the podcast.
Sure, I'm happy to be here.
So, Layton, tell us a little bit first about who you are and kind of what got you to the point of last summer deciding you wanted to be a professional organizer.
So I would say since I was, quite young, like even a child, I have always enjoyed organizing and cleaning out things. I used to ask my mom if I could clean out the garage for fun on a Saturday. So I think it's sort of in my blood, my DNA. And so it just has come very natural to me for years. Family members have had me help them, friends, and they're always like, oh my gosh, like you should do this as a business. You should do this. And, I didn't do that. I would say my very first, if I'm going to go back to my very first paying customer, that was 4 years ago. And each year it grew a little bit. I'd have maybe 2 or 3 clients one year, and then it would go up to maybe 7 or 8. And then this last year, since I've been working with you, I had 14 clients this last year. And also having a full-time job as a school counselor. This is my last year. I'm getting ready to retire. I don't necessarily want to be working every single day, 9 to 5, but I would like to have, maybe 1 or 2 jobs a week. I think that would be fun just because I enjoy it so much. I don't really think of it as work. Over this past Christmas break, I had 2 weeks off. In the first week, that week right before Christmas, I worked Monday through Friday, on average 6, 7, 8 hours a day. But it was because it was this man who was moving into a new home. So I basically unpacked everything and organized every drawer, every closet, the pantry, the bathrooms, the everything. His house could not be more perfectly organized. He is set up for life because I was just so eager for him and excited for him to have his home done so well that now he knows where everything is. And there's nothing in his house that he either doesn't want or doesn't need or doesn't love it. It's very well appointed, I must say. So,
yeah. I think that's amazing. And the point of this, what I was kind of leading into a minute ago when we were talking, is she is still a full-time guidance counselor at a school. And so, whatever a teacher's schedule is, that is what her schedule is for her full-time job. She has also then had all of these clients either on the weekends or spring break, fall break, Christmas break, summer. And so my point being is if you want to make this happen before you take the leap into full-time professional organizing, it really is good to, while you're still in your current career, get your name out there, get all your foundational pieces done, start to work with clients so you understand who you are and how you work with them. So once you are ready to let the old career go and make the jump, once you're to that point, then you already have clients, you already have experience, you already know what you're getting into instead of waiting to then make the transition. Go ahead and start doing this on the side as you're, getting to the point where you're ready, because this job isn't for everyone. And so I do always recommend that people at least try it out at first as a side hustle in a little bit before you go and just quit your other job that's, paying for your family's mortgage and everything else, and jump in thinking, oh, it's going to be all perfect pantries when it is definitely not always that. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear, because Layton is a little bit of a different person than my typical. She actually turned away some jobs in the beginning because she decided those were not her people. She was waiting on her people to be the ones that she could organize for. And so I would love to kind of hear your experience of what that was like back in, I think it was around September-ish. Yeah, where you had a few people reach out, you went for the consultation, but you realized they needed more help than what you were necessarily wanting to give. Plus, you were trying to reach that higher end market. And that was not, those were just not the clientele you were trying to reach. And so you decided to kind of let those leads go and wait for your people. And so how did that feel? How did that go? And then how much longer after that was it until your people started to find you?
You had recommended that I put myself on the Find My Organizer, which I did. And I think that opened me up to a whole different clientele that I wasn't getting before, because before it was just word of mouth, friends, people who knew me. I put my business cards in little boutique type grocery stores and shops and home places where I live. And so that was getting me the kind of clientele that could, it's a luxury. I mean, not everybody can afford home organizing. We've talked about that. It's like, getting your hair done. Like I broke my wrist and I went the other day and paid to have my hair washed and blow dried. I wouldn't normally do that, but I'm very compensated here with my broken wrist. And so you have to kind of decide what luxuries are you willing to spend money on. And I want everybody to enjoy and benefit from organization. So one of the clients that I went to that I ended up not working for, I mean, she was truly a hoarder. I mean, it was overwhelming, but I think I have a pretty calm personality and I'm very non-judgmental. And also being a counselor, I was able to sort of talk to her about what needed to happen for her to get to a point where she could really even start to begin the process of organizing. She needed to edit probably more than half of the belongings in her home. That's just one of the clients I'm thinking of. And her daughters were there. So I was trying to talk to them because they were frustrated for her and they wanted her to, get going with the process. So I was trying to give them some, if you will, homework, like, get trash bags, big trash bags, and set a goal for yourself. Maybe one trash bag a week, or maybe if you're really ambitious, maybe one a day, and just go into a room and put stuff in that trash bag that you don't want anymore. And so I tried to give them some things they could work on. And I even said, I'm still working a full-time job. I can't just devote, 2 or 3 weeks to you. And also, I don't think they could afford it. I mean, I remember saying to them, I charged this an hour. Like I wanted to make sure they were very clear as to how much I charged. But I mean, if they sold some of the things in that home, they could probably have made quite a bit of money to put that somewhere else. So I will say the clientele that I enjoy the most are the ones who, and I've told you, Samantha, that the Container Store opened here right when COVID hit. And I had always dreamed about the Container Store. I'd heard about it. And I mean, it is my happy place. When I have a job and I know that I'm going to be going to the Container Store, I can't go to sleep at night because my brain starts churning and thinking and like it's almost like I'm in the Container Store in my brain in the middle of the night shopping. And it's so rewarding to me to be able to go in there and find the things that I need to contain the items that I have sorted and figured out what things go together, where I'm going to put them, all the measuring you have to do. It's like a puzzle. Maybe I'm a problem solver by nature, and I love that problem solving piece of having a space that is troubled. Maybe that's my counseling. And I just want to make everything tidy and pretty. I love to make things pretty. So.
And that's what's so beautiful about the type of people we have in the community / as professional organizers in the world is we all have our different, kind of niches in a way. I hate calling them niches because I know a lot of people just starting out are like, I have to find my niche before I can get started. But you don't know what your niche is going to be until you get started, because you don't know what you like until you try it. And then, you try it, you like it, you keep going, or you try it, you don't like it, you pivot and try to find some other people. And so for me, my favorite people are actually the editing / decluttering part, which is so fun, where I like going in and working hand in hand with the client to help them edit all of those things. Now, it is a different situation when it legit is a hoarding situation. Those go to the specialists. Mm-hmm. But just the average homeowner that just has too much stuff, you're exactly right. Like, they have to declutter and they have to edit before they can get to the point of the pretty bins and the pretty baskets and things being organized. Because no matter how much you move the stuff around the room, it's not going to matter.
I mean, if I didn't have these clients who were more high end, because I love to organize, I would probably work with the other people, and, it might not be as pretty, but I would still get pleasure because it helps them, number one. And just things being organized and tidy just makes me happy. And I can remember before the Container Store came here, like, I used to save little boxes and organize my drawers with little box, like, not but like a box you would get a piece of jewelry in, or, a box that some stationery came in. And those were the little drawer dividers that I would use before the world of, the containers have gone crazy. And you can get containers at the dollar store. I mean, I've been there before. They're not quite as pretty, but they're still functional, and they allow you to sort things and categorize.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really the point, though, is about meeting our clients where they are, helping them the way that they need to be helped, to the point where when we leave, they feel better than when we got there. And there is more function and systems in their home than when we arrived. And so I am actually super curious how it's been going, because I know you had all of those clients that you took towards the end of the year last year after September. And so how was that, working your full-time job and then on the weekends, or working it around your full-time job schedule, getting all of those clients in? Was that a juggling act?
It was, but I mean, I don't have children. I don't have a dog. I have a very self-sufficient boyfriend. So I don't have a lot of other responsibilities. So that made it easier. And like one job I did in Williamsburg, and I have sisters and nieces who live in Williamsburg, so I could stay with one of them. I enjoy it so much. Like, I don't think of it as work. Like I said, that job I had before Christmas break, you would have thought that I would want to just kick my feet up and not do anything, because I'd work, being a school counselor these days is pretty challenging and draining, but it energizes me somehow. It's, I mean, I might come home physically tired, but it's a good kind of tired.
Yeah, absolutely. It's finding your sweet spot is what I call it, because, like, that's how I feel when I do these coaching calls, or when I'm doing the podcast, or when I'm doing the community work or the group coaching calls, all of that stuff. It energizes me. It's hard work. There's a lot of back end stuff. There's a lot of preparation. There's all these things that go into it. But when I'm in the moment of it, it gives me energy. I might be tired, but it gives me energy. And even my husband the other day, he was like, you spend hours and hours and hours up there in your office. Like, what is going on? Like, he doesn't. And I'm like, I am living my best life upstairs in my office right now.
I did want to say, I do love to get on Instagram and look at all the, I follow some different professional organizers who are very high end, like, one's out in California and Las Vegas and places. And to me, as much as I love to look at their pictures, they're not realistic to me. And now that I've been in the homes of people, and even people who, are high end clients, they don't live like that. So that is something I've learned, that it's, even though I like things pretty, it doesn't have to be so pretty that it's unrealistic. And then that puts pressure on the client to be like, well, I can't live like that. I can't maintain this. So like you said, giving them systems that work, and even suggesting things to help them maintain. Like, I had a client who I did her pantry, and it was unbelievable. I mean, that pantry took me, it wasn't, how you think of a kitchen, like maybe 4 hours, like the pantry probably took me 6 hours, because I had so much food in there that was expired, and I had to take everything out and throw away. I had my magnifying glass out, because a lot of times you can't read those expiration dates and all the spices and things, and just getting everything sorted with the Lazy Susan, so she could see, the oils. She had so many duplicates of things, because she would go out and buy things because she didn't know she had them in the back of the pantry. And I really hope and pray that she's keeping it that way. We have a mutual friend, and she said she saw her husband the other day, and he said, "Yeah, if I need something, I just go to the store and buy it." And I was like, "No, go look at the pantry first. Like, don't just go to the store." So it's people's mindsets, and I guess I just, somewhere I have to let it go. I can't control everything, but I can at least
Yes.
kind of set them up well. And I even told her, I said, if you need me to come back and do like a monthly or every other month refresh, just kind of help you maintain what I did, so that
Hmm.
doesn't all just go back to the way it was. That would be a shame to have. I mean, she spent a lot of money having me
Yeah.
do all that, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I'm glad you bring that up because that is almost a soapbox of mine, right? Is especially women that are getting into the professional organizing industry, is they think it's going to be Khloe Kardashian's pantry and like
Yeah.
all of these things that are so unrealistic. And God love the Home Edit. They're amazing women.
Oh,
They're from here in Tennessee too. Like more power to them. But they have a team. They have all this stuff going on behind the scenes. A lot of us are one woman shows. We can only do what we can do as one person. And it's great to set it all up like that. But here's my thing, once the family comes back in, how are they going to maintain it? Like, I want to see what it looks like 2 weeks later after they've lived in it for 2 weeks.
right.
And the point for me is to go in and meet people where they are. And I really want to make sure that a lot of us understand being a professional organizer, it's not like, I mean, it's glamorous, it is, but it's also the dirty work sometimes. It's the getting down in there and, like you said, pulling out every single thing and even getting a magnifying glass if you have to, and, making sure you get all of that stuff out of there, but then putting it back in such a way that the client knows where to go to get their items. If the
Mm-hmm.
client's not there as part of that process, or if you've not even asked them questions to begin with and you just quote unquote surprise them with this great pantry, they're not going to know where any of their stuff
Yeah.
is.
Sometimes what I'll do, like if they leave, like the man that he wasn't sticking around. Sometimes women are more likely to stick around and say, see what you're doing and have their 2 cents to put in, which is fine. But the men, I've had some, and I enjoy the men because then they just kind of let me go do my thing. But I took him on a tour of his kitchen, or really of the whole house, because I
Mm-hmm.
had, done each room and I wanted him to see where I had put everything. So taking them
Yeah.
on a tour of their home to show them, okay, this is where I put this. And if this doesn't work for you, let's move it. Like, let's switch things around if it makes more sense for you or your habits are different to go here versus, in this drawer or that cabinet.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because it's not me.
absolutely.
I'm not living there. My thought process or my, rationale might be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the point, is we're all kind of different. And like, I had a woman the other day that I rearranged her entire kitchen, as in like everything came out of every drawer. It got moved to a different drawer, and, put to where, because now she's older, she's getting to the point where she's falling. So the stuff she's using needed to be more where it was easier for her to reach compared to way down low or way up high and that kind of stuff. And she was so cute. She was older. She sat in a chair in her dining room the entire time I was there. And each time I pull something out, she'd, tell me if she wanted to keep it or release it. And then each thing I pull out, she'd ask me like, or I would ask her, is this, how often do you use this? Is this something you use often? Is it yours? Is it not yours? And it was just this collaborative process. And she had a decent sized kitchen. And I mean, it was about 2.5 hours, I think, is once we were done. In 2.5 hours, I had pulled everything out, cleaned every shelf, rearranged everything in the kitchen, put it back exactly the way she wanted it. And now she's less likely to fall and get hurt
Mm-hmm.
because A, she knows where everything is. B, it's in a place where she has access to it. And she's not going to try to hurt herself because she's trying to pick up this heavy crock pot and move it, way across the kitchen. Like, that just wasn't feasible anymore. The point being is that there's so many people that were out there helping. And I love focusing on that, right? Like the helping piece of all of this. Like, I think when we forget who we're helping, or we start making it more about us and our business and, oh, well, or this has to be that way. And we start getting that, almost OCD-ness about our business side of things. Like, you can get to it, but at some point you have to say, like, enough is enough. Done is better than perfect. I'm just going to put it out to the world as is so I can start helping clients, and then I'll tweak it as I go.
Listening to you talk about that, sometimes I catch myself rushing because I feel like, I want to get it done as quickly as possible because it's money. I mean, they're paying me money by the hour. I don't do it by the job. So that doesn't like jeopardize, the quality of my work. I feel like I'm still doing a good job, but I do catch myself like, I mean, won't even stop to eat. I have to remind myself to sip water because I just get in this zone and just go full on. But at the same time, I'm very calm and, I'm not spastic about it, but I'm just very driven and very methodical.
Oh, yeah. I make sure on the way to every session every morning I eat, because I know while I'm there, I'm not going to be eating. If I get anything, it's going to be like maybe a cracker kind of snuck in my mouth in the middle of grabbing some more whatever off whatever shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm exactly the same way. Yeah. So what are some things you've learned that now after working with all of these clients that maybe back when we first started coaching that are different than what you thought they would be?
Well, like you've said, meeting clients where they are, and all clients are different. And I think I'm a pretty tolerant person. So, like, I'm thinking of one client in particular who was very particular. And it's not that I didn't want to work for her, but I knew going into it that I had to just kind of let her tell me what she wanted and let her drive the boat, basically. And then I was just there to kind of do what she said. So, yeah. But then other clients are just like, oh, yeah, you do whatever they like. I remember the one with the pantry. She and her husband went out to lunch, left me there. I just kind of did my thing. I think getting reoccurring clients is nice because you already know what they know how you work, and their mentality of things and how they like things. So it would be nice for me to get some more reoccurring clients as I have more free time on my hands once I'm retired. I'd like to work on that.
Yeah. And honestly, I have a few of the coaching girls right now that I've been talking to about that, about how they're getting leads and they're only getting like, one session or a couple of sessions back to back, but then it kind of stops there. A lot of times I will try to reach back out, or I'll try to almost plant a seed in that client's mind of like, kind of like you said, if you need a maintenance session, call me back. Mm-hmm. Or if you need to, if we need to hit some of the other rooms, make sure to, reach back out to me. Right. Or even, hey, if you have any friends that that, I could help, because if they're like that, more than not, their friends are going to be similar. So if you find clients that you really like, those are the ones that I kind of push, like, hey, if you know anybody, make sure to let them know about me. Yeah.
I'll give them cards, and, if they're really happy, I might even joke and say, hey, if your friends would come over for wine or something, tell them, show them what I did and see if they like it and see if they would be interested. So,
yeah.
Starting a small business can be hard and challenging, and it's good to have that support. And I've been doing jobs for people, like I did my next door neighbor. We got a new neighbor. And it was funny. She told me when she first moved in, she said, Layton, I'm not going to need you because I'm very organized, but thanks anyway. The day after she moved in, she texted me and she's like, Layton, I was wrong. So I spent probably, like 4 or 5 days over there, and luckily it wasn't a far commute. So I just would walk over and spend a few hours, and she hurt her back. She's older. She's like 75, in very good shape for 75, but she hurt her back lifting something too heavy. And so I was right there ready to jump in and help her. And
yeah. So, yeah. And honestly, that reminds me. So like we are getting ready to move, and I am of the mindset that, I'm going to declutter my own house on my own, but I've already like set people in place to help me along the way, because I know I can do this for others all day long. But when it comes to me, because I do have kids and dogs and a husband, and like, it's not just me, there's a lot of people and it's a lot of stuff, that I would rather have the help and know that help's coming than to be like, oh, well, I'm a professional organizer, so I can do it all on my own. Like, no.
Yeah, you just devote all your time to that because you have so many other responsibilities.
Well, and that's what I was saying the other day. I'm like, okay, I could do this on my own, but if I'm sitting here doing our stuff, I'm losing jobs that I could be doing for other people and then paying someone else to help me with my stuff and keep my business, the momentum of getting clients, keep it going. Because sometimes if you get to a lull, it's hard to kind of get that ball rolling again.
Right.
Yeah. And so, I'm super, super grateful that I've been able to kind of keep the momentum going with the way
you
that
have you have the home edit girls coming in for you.
right. Yeah. I called them up. I was like, listen, we're just a few hours away. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a couple hour drive. Come on over. Yeah. And I honestly, my point in all of this is like, I'm so proud of you because, you were like literally the very first person that I coached that I was like, I love this. Like, this is awesome. The fact that I can talk about organizing and I can teach other people to do what I've done. And, obviously what I've done is working because I'm still working and, just like, I love this stuff. That's why I definitely had to have you on the podcast and to just see kind of, not just that, because that's one thing, but the other thing is, you still working a full-time job and doing all these other jobs, I thought would be very interesting for people because a lot of us, when we're first starting out, we do start it out as a side hustle.
Right.
Yeah. And so have you found any kind of like, maybe like tips or tricks or things that you would suggest that people do if they are still working full time, especially as like a teacher or someone that only has these very small, windows of opportunity throughout the year? Like, are there certain things you've done to kind of prepare your clients for that when someone calls you?
Yeah. So if I have a client who reaches out, I'll say, like before Christmas, I was like, well, I have 2 weeks off at Christmas. So, I'll be wide open. And if I'm going to work Saturday and Sunday, I'm okay with that. I usually, because I do yoga, I usually tell my clients I come after my yoga class on Saturday. Like I have to do my yoga first. So they're usually good about that. And then that just makes me more centered and helps me be more stretched and flexible and mindful in what I'm doing.
So mainly client expectation is what you're saying, just letting them know up front, kind of like, listen, I'm still working this other job, but
Right.
this is what I have available. I would love to help you during that time.
Worked out so far. I'm hoping that the momentum keeps going. I remember you were so inspiring to me because I was thinking, would say to you, how am I going to get more clients? I just, what if I just don't get calls and it's happening, but then I still get nervous. I still think, well, what if I just, it runs dry, like the well runs dry.
Well, honestly, obviously, this happened just today for this conversation for me to remind you and the listeners. So, I normally stay at least like 2.5, 3 weeks booked out at any given time because I'm normally working with like 6 to 7 different clients because of the way I do mine and set it up by sessions, not hourly or packages. And so because of the sessions, that keeps me booked out pretty often. Well, all of a sudden earlier today, I was looking through my calendar and I'm like, oh, next week I have like 4 days where there is nothing. And I had a lady I was supposed to be helping tomorrow, and I had that gut intuition feeling they've not reached back out to me. So, I think that's off. So point being, I had a cancellation for tomorrow. I had a cancellation for this coming Tuesday, and I already had Monday and Thursday off. So almost a week straight of no clients, which is so rare for me.
Yeah.
And I was starting to kind of panic for a minute. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to panic. It is what it is. It's meant to be. Either I need to be spending that time working on the back end of the business, or maybe I can use that time to get us ready for the move. Like I was trying to be positive or working on the podcast, whatever. And of course, it was like maybe 2 hours later, I get this call from this lady and she's like, listen, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to. She said, but I was looking at your website the other day. My parents just moved in right down, the road from you pretty much. And the movers brought all the boxes in, they set them down and they left. And that was like yesterday. And so we're sitting here with all of these boxes. We need someone to come help us. And so I literally start with her tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's perfect.
Right. And so now I've got all of these days open to help them unpack almost their entire home that I would not have had otherwise, because what wouldn't have been good is if I didn't have those days available And I would have had to say, oh, well, I can come help you, but it's going to be like 3 weeks from now. Yeah. Well, you can't sit with boxes in your home for 3 weeks without touching them or wanting to move on to another organizer. Mm-hmm. And she even said herself, she said, and me and my husband are about to move. And so we're wanting to hire you for us too. And so this isn't just one job. This is at least 2 jobs, and 2 big jobs at that. And so I'm like, thank you, you two random jobs for canceling on me, because now I've got these 2 huge jobs. Yes. And so my point in that is sometimes you just have to trust God, the universe. Like, you just got to trust it, that it's going to work out the way it's supposed to. And it's all about how we react in those moments. I could have started panicking and freaking out and being stressed. And I maybe would have even missed her phone call, or, or I can stay calm, know that it's like, okay, God knows what he's doing. Everything's working out the way it's supposed to. And I'm just going to trust the process. And then it works out perfectly every time. It has never failed me.
I feel like if you put the right things in place, and like you said, just trust, it kind of manifests itself. Like, it just sort of fall. And you help me so much with our coaching. I mean, helping me with my website and helping me just know what integral pieces I needed to get in place to become more professional, more like I could say without any reservation, I am a professional organizer. Like, before I would be like, well, yeah, I like to organize. But now, like, I can confidently say I'm a professional. Like, I am good at what I do. Kind of joke and say it's my superpower.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, it's the same as anyone, like if, you're a teacher or a guidance counselor or no matter what you are, everyone goes by, well, what do you do? Well, mm-hmm. The ones of us that haven't laid those foundational pieces and we're not in a place where we have confidence about it, then we're exactly what you just said. We're like, well, I'm kind of I don't even really know what I am. I'm just kind of hanging out here, But right. When you come to, and the same person asks you the same question and you say, I'm a professional organizer, or I help people declutter for a living, that one statement, all of a sudden their eyes get big and they're like, you do what? Tell me more about that. Or, oh my goodness, I know someone, or do you have a business card? Or they always get excited and want to know more. Mm-hmm. As long as you say it with confidence in that one statement and then just stop talking.
And you had talked about one of your podcasts about, getting the business cards, getting your logo and all that stuff. And like just yesterday, I was in the drugstore. I was going to get something for my wrist. And I ran into this woman that I've known for years. We're not like close friends. I might see her every couple of years. And I just pulled one of my cards out of my purse and I said, can I give you one of these? I said, you might not need it, but if you know somebody, just constantly, like, I am always thinking about how can I get my business cards out, just to get that on the forefront of people's brains. Oh, organize, that's Layton, I need to call her. Or
yes, yes.
Just people thinking, when they have that need, that my name is the name that comes to their mind.
Yeah. And honestly, I find also too that people don't take offense when you say like exactly what you just said. Instead of saying, hey, if you need an organizer or someone to help you declutter, no. If you know someone that may need an organizer, can I give you one of these? So then you've not offended them or made them feel like any sort of way. But normally those are the same people that come back and are like, well, I need it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you were saying about what is a professional organizer? Like, some people don't know that. In the last post I did on Instagram, I did a very specific post about that very thing. I said, sometimes when I tell people I'm a professional organizer, they don't know what that means. And I literally laid out all the steps that I did for that gentleman that I moved into his home right before Christmas, just to really show people, and with the videos and the pictures, so they could have a visual of what it looks like, what it sounds like, maybe even what it feels like. Make it tangible.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why the before and after photos and videos are huge. It's the only way we can show people what we can do. Yeah, absolutely. And, the testimonials are great too. It's nice, especially on the internet when you're not having a conversation, of getting those reviews on Google and that kind of thing. And I'm getting ready to be working on a workshop of like how to set up your Google My Business, with kind of a bonus of like how to get 5-star reviews mainly. because that's important, is having those 5-star reviews. That moves you up in Google's eyes, quote unquote, of just making sure that when people see professional organizers in their area, that you're kind of at the top of the list. And then we also just recently did a workshop that's inside of the community now on the replays, that's for the SEO. So that way you can watch that and you can go back in and make sure that your SEO words on your website and all the places that you should have the SEO words, that they are exactly what you need them to be for the type of people you're trying to target as your potential clients. Yeah. And as long as you have those foundational pieces in place, it really will come to you. Like it really does come when you need it to. And it really is just a matter of exactly what you said. I am a professional organizer. It's not who I want to be. It's who I am. I am being a professional organizer. And so the more people I tell, the more my foundational pieces are in alignment, those clients will come. Like they just will.
There's one girl in particular here in town, and this might sound funny, but I feel like a little competitive with her, but she has a team, and I'm a one-woman show too. And I wonder sometimes, like, would a person rather have a team come in? I think she's got maybe 2 or 3 women that work with her.
What are your goals? Like every one of us, what we're doing this for is different. Like we have our why of why we're doing it for other people, but then the why of why we're doing it for ourselves, and making sure we don't get into that comparisonness, because, her goal may be to build an empire one day and feed the homeless forever. Your goal is, I want to go on trips with my honey and enjoy life, so like 2 totally different. And both of those are great goals to have. It's just making sure you know your goals and what is this that you're trying to achieve. Because if not, our type A personality can get us to where we're like, oh, go, 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 go is always better. When really it's not. We have to know what we're trying to achieve as we're doing these things.
Right. Well, I kind of joke that, nobody wants a broken wrist, but I almost feel like God was telling me, slow down, sister. You are too busy. You're working too hard. You're teaching yoga. You're organizing on the weekends. You're working all day. And this is, has really slowed me down. And I'm just accepting it and saying, okay, I'm slowing down.
Yeah. And I'm going to relax and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's huge. And I think that is a fantastic place to stop. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so thankful. And I'm so inspired by you on how amazing you're doing. Like it is everything you wanted it to be. It just took a little bit of time for it to get there and getting those pieces in place. But you are doing excellent. And I'm so proud of you. And, enjoy the rest for the next few weeks.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. You just really, I think I had the spark, but I needed you to get the fire going a little bit more to really get my flame going.
Yeah.
And that was huge.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you so much. And I thank you for being on the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. And for you listening, if you're curious about anything we've talked about, the links will be in the show notes on the ways to work with me or how to come join us in our professional organizers community. All of the links will be at proorganizerscoach.com or in the show notes below. And we will catch you in the next one. You have been listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to the show notes to find all of the links mentioned in this episode and hit that subscribe and automatic download button so you don't miss a single thing. Thanks for listening.